Greetings, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and I want to welcome you to my new Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast series. We have been overwhelmed with the responses that people have shared from listening to these messages on my SiriusXM show over the years. Those listeners, and they're sharing my show with their network, telling people about it, telling their family members, their friends, and their coworkers about this show and the impact it's having on their lives. That's the main reason that this show is now #1 for self-help in America, and I'm very grateful. Yet, we realize that many people do not have satellite radio, and therefore could not experience for themselves the message. They could not get it for themselves. So we are now sharing these messages with everyone via this new podcast. Enjoy it and share it with your network. And let's help even more people to do more, be more, and achieve more. Tell everybody so that they can live a Wealthy Ways life as well. Welcome to the new Willie Jolley Wealthy Ways podcast. And remember, your best is yet to come.
Walk by faith, talk by faith, move by faith, and live by faith. You gotta have faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, you got to keep the faith. You got to keep the faith. You got to think you can and believe you can if you want to achieve incredible results. Well, folks, we are back, and I told you in the segment earlier, we've got some special guests to join us this segment and this part of the hour. We are just overwhelmed and overjoyed, excited about the fact we got two superstars on the line with us, and I'm going to introduce them to you. We've got my good friend. You know, you've seen me on TBN with him, and he has been on this show before, and I have been a dear friend of his for many years, the one and only incomparable Wintley Phipps. Wintley, are you there?
Yes, my brother. Good to hear your voice.
Man, it's so good to have you again, and I just want to thank you again for having me on your show and TBN. People around the world called me and said, what a great show, so thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, we also have with us the inimitable great actor who is just a great story, too. And that's what we want to share today, this story and some opportunities for y'all to see them and hear about what he's doing. The great one, his name is Charles Dutton. You know him from the TV show Rock. Charles, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, my man. Thank you so much.
Well, we are honored to have you. Well, first of all, you know, we talk about in this show turning setbacks into comebacks and how you can have some setbacks in your life, but you don't have to stay in that position. You can transform your life. You can turn your life around. And you're going to be doing that, Charles, soon, next week, I believe, here in the D.C. area. Why don't you, Wintley, you and Charles, why don't y'all tell us a little bit about that? And then we're going to get Charles' story.
Great. Well, Charles has teamed up with us at the U.S. Dream Academy because I am so convicted that his story needs to be heard all over this world. He is an incredible human being who has been lifted by faith and by his belief in the kind of life that he feels that God's put him on this earth to live. And I tell you, I am so inspired every time I hear him tell it. It's
why don't we have him go ahead and tell the story?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Charles. Tell us the story.
Well, I want to echo something Wintley said. I'm just as inspired by him and how he founded this organization and how he just came upon that realization of the number of children who have incarcerated parents and what that can do to a child's mind and a child's psyche and a child's outlook. And so for him to dedicate his time and his life to correcting that and getting these kids to see that there's hope still there. There's not all lost. I mean, I find that extremely noble.
Yes.
To spend your life that way. And
Wintley has been a great example for so many of us about real live philanthropy in terms of not giving money, but changing people's lives. Not just giving money, but
Right.
giving your
Right.
time and energy. And your story is one that exemplifies. And I actually I spoke recently at a boys' reformatory, and I told them I was going to have you on the show because they have to hear that story that their present doesn't have to equal their future. Am I right, Charles?
No, without a doubt. And that old cliche is still true today, that you can be anything you want to be. You just have to, you have to discover or rediscover your own humanity, and you have to, you have to work for it. You got to see it, envision it, believe in it, work for it, pray for it, surround yourself with positive energy, and then when you do that, all kinds of positive people come out the woodwork to help you along. If you got a negative energy around you, nobody wants to touch you.
Amen.
So, but in my life in particular, everybody knows from 12 from 12 to 26, 27, I spent my life in and out of correctional institutions, and juvenile as well as adults. I have 12 years old, 13, 14, 15 in juveniles. I quit school at 12 years old in the 7th grade, not because I couldn't handle it academically. I just thought it was more happening on the street corner than in the classroom. And I didn't really have, my dad was separated, single parent household. But we weren't starving. We weren't, we lived in the projects, but Mom made a way every day, for me, my brother and sister. And, but I just, I liked being a knucklehead, and I liked getting in trouble. So, at 17 years old, I got in a fight with a guy in 1968 on a Friday night summer fight that escalated into a knife fight. When the smoke cleared, I was alive and he was dead. I got a 5-year sentence for that, for manslaughter. I was out in 2 years. And I immediately upon getting out, I went on a robbery spree. And 2 months later, I was back in prison. I was eventually acquitted of the robberies, but found guilty of the guns, and got a 3-year sentence. While I was awaiting trial for the robberies, I got in a fight with a prison guard and got an additional 8-year sentence on top of the 3. And so they ran it consecutive. I had to do the 3 years and then start on the 8. So I was totally an incorrigible, violent-prone kid, a teenager. And I went in prison with a bigger chip. I didn't have a chip. I had a log on my shoulder, daring someone to push it off. So, and I spent many of those years in and out of trouble in prison. And then finally, I did something that really jarred everything. I finally picked up a book and read it. I finally an anthology of black playwrights, and I read this play, and this one particular play I found so hilarious. I said I was going to get the craziest guys I knew in the prison and start a drama group just to put this play on at the prison talent show. But in the midst of doing that play and doing a speech from that play as my character, I don't know if I paused for 2 seconds or 10 seconds, but it was like a voice and a light had hit me that told me that you've just discovered what you were born to do while you're on this planet. And if you simply just follow the message, follow the light, follow the voice, I would succeed. Now, I had no idea the scope of my success, but this thing was so nurturing and so gentle that it was almost like it was almost like I was being led by the hand. And albeit it was tough, because when I finally got out of prison, this happened in prison, so I had to spend another 5 years almost in the midst of all that carnage that prison has and still remain positive. And that's why I always knew it was a spiritual thing, because it was still killings and riots and fights and all the stuff that goes on in prison. And I was able to kind of get away from it, although I nearly got killed in prison after that. I got stabbed by another prisoner in a fight and was nearly killed during this period. But when I was released, I got out on a Friday and immediately enrolled at that very next Monday in Towson State University in Baltimore, and so it when I got out, I didn't concentrate on the negative of being an ex-con and an ex-this and an ex-that. I said, I'm going to use this to get ahead. And so I didn't let anything stop me, and you have to have that kind of perseverance. It's a lot tougher now for young men and women coming out of institutions than it was when I was doing it, but still the same values have to remain the same: determination, discipline, and perseverance. You don't get anywhere in life if you don't have those three things, regardless of your situation. So when I met Whitley and they honored me about a year or so ago, and I got involved with the organization, it was all about. I love the marriage between my story and the Dream Academy, because it's the telling of a story with me doing it. It's a narrative of my life interspersed with a medley of scenes from all the great playwrights, several great playwrights that I've done their plays. So it's an entertaining evening, and I do it in a very self-effacing, non-tragic, non-lecture way. It is a theatrical telling of my life story, and but yet I think it's entertaining as well as inspirational. And I'm overjoyed that we're going to do a 10-city tour of the show in all of the cities where the organization, the U.S. Dream Academy, has programs. So
incredible. Now, I know you're going to have to jump off shortly, but I'm going to take a quick break in a minute. But I want to get you.
No, Go ahead. Yeah. I'll be back. I'll be here.
All right, good. Because I want to make sure they understand that you didn't just end up not just going to Towson. You have to tell the story, and you told it at Wintley's fundraiser. I was there that night, and you told how you went from Towson to Yale, and from jail to Yale, and that's the name of the play, folks. Jail to Yale. Wintley, real quick, where are the different cities? We got about a minute left in this segment. Where are the cities that it's going to perform, starting in D.C.?
Absolutely. Well, we're going to be in Washington, of course. We did it in Houston, and it was just really, you talk about entertaining, it just touches your heart and makes you laugh and smile and then leaves you enlightened at the same time.
Wow.
But we'll be in Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, New Jersey, Houston, Memphis, Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, Indianapolis, Orlando, and we're just excited. We're going to be at the Kennedy Center in Washington. That's the next one, and that's going to be on the 28th and the 29th of this month. And so your listeners, we just encourage them to come out and support us. And we're also getting sponsors for young men and young ladies who have fallen behind in school and whose parents are incarcerated. And sponsors are actually making it possible for them to come to the show to hear Mr. Dutton's story, because hold that
thought, Wintley. We're going to come back to sponsors. Hold on,
all
folks.
Right.
We're going to be right back. I got Wintley Phipps and Charles Dutton, Willie Jolley, and for sure the best is yet to come.
All that's changed in the
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and if you're enjoying this information you're hearing on this podcast, I want to invite you to get even more great information on my new free gift page on my website. Go to wjspeaks.com and hit the All Access badge. On that page, you will find information and resources specifically designed to help you to have greater success. Free ebooks, music, all sorts of interesting and informational interviews for my XM show. I'm telling you, this is a great page. And why do I do it? Because I've learned that the more we give, the more we get. And the more we help other people to grow and go to the next level, the more we receive in our business. So we want to help you. Tell your friends about it. Go to Facebook and get my information. Go to my website, get my free resources, and get on wjspeaks.com and hit that All Access badge. It looks like a backstage pass. Click it. You'll get behind the scenes information to the special page to help you grow. All we want in return, all we ask is that you pass it on, because the more you give, the more you get. This is Dr. Willie Jolley. Have a great day.
Ask yourself what the future holds for you. Headline news got you scared. Like everyone else, you want peace and happiness.
Oh, you know it. The sky is the limit, taken from my Money Making Music and Motivation CD. And I'm grateful for that CD. And I'm grateful for Wintley Phipps giving me inspiration to do my music as well as my speaking and all the things. We're going to talk a little more with Wintley in the next segment, but I want to get Charles Dutton on to finish his story. We got Charles Dutton, the incredible actor, as well as my dear friend Wintley Phipps, the incredible singer and philanthropist. We got him on the line, both of them. So I'm a blessed man to be in the midst of greatness. And so I'm grateful for both of you. Charles, you got to finish that story, brother. Because you blew my mind when I heard you at Wintley's Dream Academy fundraiser gala. Wow, you blew my I came home and told my wife, I said, what a story. And Wintley, you're absolutely right. We got to get sponsors for people. We'll talk more about that when we come after Charles shares the story. But we got to get sponsors. We got to get people who understand these kids need to hear this story. They
Absolutely.
need to hear this story because sometimes I think I just wrote a note to myself that Charles, folks, he dropped a pearl on you in his first segment. Charles said, when you discover your gift, and you're clear on your gift, you start to realize there's some reason for you being here. And many times what we do and have children see is that they do not see where they fit in the future. And if you cannot see where you fit in the future, you tend to act and behave like a misfit. You think like a misfit, you dream like a misfit, and you perform like a misfit. But when you find your place, my God, something started to happen. Charles, tell us the rest of that story, brother.
Well, after I was released from prison, I enrolled. I got my 2-year college degree while I was in prison. They were in those days they were interested in rehabilitating you. Now it's just all about punishment. So I got my associate arts degree while I was in prison. Went back, re-educated myself while I was there. Got out, enrolled in Towson State University in a Bachelor of Arts program for the theater. And after I graduated there in 78, I kind of just, messed around with D.C. and Washington doing local theater. And then I just found myself drifting back on the street corner in my old neighborhood. Because I really didn't know how to take the next step to be a professional actor, but I played like I did. Everybody assumed I knew, so I just fell into it and assumed. And then after several months of being right back on the corner, a lot of friends of mine who were sort of living precariously through me, hoping that I'd make it, that somebody out of Latrobe housing projects in East Baltimore would go on to accomplish and be something, they start saying, man, why you back here? Why you hanging around? And I'm just saying, I'm waiting for this to happen, wait for that, and then I could see that after them seeing me so much, the respect factor started to get lost for me. And so I finally went up, I had to bite the bullet and go up to, back up to Towson State University and ask the chairman of the department, well, how do you go about being a professional actor? I don't know what's the next step. And you got to remember too, I had spent from 12 years to 26 in and out of institutions, and I didn't realize how institutionalized I was because in that 12-year process, everything was always taken care for you.
Yes.
You didn't have to really go out on your own and do anything, They told you when to eat, when to sleep, and when to do everything else. And so he said, well, why do you want to go to New York and be just another struggling actor? Go to Yale. And I remember it was a long pause. Go to Yale, right. I'm an ex-con. I'm still on parole. And his exact words were, give it a shot. They're bleeding heart liberals up there. I didn't think, William, I said, this is a waste of time and money. But I went up, I applied and went up and auditioned. And on the way back, I was thinking, oh, man, they're not going to let me in Yale. Lo and behold, I get a letter a couple of weeks later saying, we can't accept you. You're on the alternate list. And but then I went negative. How people don't want to help you out. I'm trying, yet I still don't want to open the door, help me. Totally went negative. And then that same voice that I felt in 1972, that same light, that same gentle touch, said, "Call the registrar." And I picked up the phone and called called the registrar and asked her, were there any openings, and she said, there's never any openings at the Yale School of Drama. And I called again, and I called again, and again, and again, and again. I called so much that that poor woman knew my ring. She would pick up the phone and say, no, Charles, no openings. You know? So then one day in one of those cliche moments of, this is the last call, I swear this is the last call, and I called, and she said, congratulations, you've been accepted. Be here September the 10th.
Wow.
And she hung up the phone, and I immediately dialed her back and said, don't play around like that. Come on. You know, and she said, no, you've been accepted. What I found out later, when I got to the school, now none of the students or 95% of the faculty at the Yale School of Drama, they didn't know my background. They had no idea I spent time in prison. They had no idea I was on parole or any of that stuff. Only a few people. The president of Yale knew, the dean of the drama school knew, the Yale Board Corporation knew, but no one else on the campus knew. And so I was treated just like any other student. But I found out that I was accepted from the day I finished my audition. But they wanted to find out how bad I wanted it.
Woo, come on, somebody. Whoa, come on, somebody.
So had I never picked up that phone and called again, determined to get an answer, it would have never happened. We wouldn't be talking now.
Wow.
You know? And I don't even begrudge them that, because they didn't really know if I was going to be attending class at 12 and robbing a bank at 4.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so, they wanted to see how bad I wanted it. They wanted to be sure, because I was still on parole. I had to transfer my Maryland parole to Connecticut.
Wow.
And get a brand new parole officer there. And all of that stuff. So, and of course Yale University didn't want to be embarrassed. So they wanted to see what they were getting. And then again, that, like I said, I saw that light again. This is what you were born to do. Now just continue following the path. And I got accepted to Yale, and I graduated from Yale '83, and so years later, many years later, 2005, 2006, I thought about, wouldn't it be interesting to do your own story theatrically? And because what's in the press is simply the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
When I do the play, you really understand and hear the human journey in all this. Wow. The human journey, the emotional journey, the crossroads journey, the down in the doldrums journey of you could go one way or the other, and not just, Charles Dutton was in prison for this, prison for that long. I tell the stories of all the comic moments of my life, albeit in that world of prison, the characters that I dealt with every day. And I think when it's all said and done, I really believe this when I say this a lot, but I really believe it. I didn't get rehabilitated by necessarily getting an education in prison, or people don't get rehabilitated by learning how to be a plumber or a butcher or a machinist in prison. You get rehabilitated by looking in that mirror at yourself and your life and asking for some kind of spiritual guidance, and then saying to yourself, I really need to discover or rediscover my own humanity, because without that, you still don't have any love for anything. Right. And the minute I discovered or rediscovered my humanity, let me say, then I started. Then things became more bigger than the 3-block radius of my neighborhood. Mm-hmm. I was concerned about more things in the world, and not just in my own life. And so I was affected, and then that caused me to want to be an activist, socially, politically, or whatever, or spiritually. So it's and then it also hit me too that we're only on this planet for a couple of seconds in the large scheme of things. These life that we have zooms by very fast. Then why not spend it helping your fellow man, and why not spend it writing an epitaph for yourself that you meant something while you were here?
Amen.
Yet, there's a wonderful scripture that talks about what it's like to be a brand plucked out of the fire. and it's hard to explain that to people unless you hear a story like this. What it's like to be in a fire, but to be plucked out of it so that you're not consumed and that you're used for something mighty. You know, one of the amazing things about Charles's story is that just about all of those guys that he that he spent time in prison with and who were part of the drama group that he was there, they're all dead. You know, and I mean, how you can see that the path that he took was not just, now get this, not just a journey to destiny, but it was a journey to life.
Yes.
To life and living life to its fullest, and I think Charles also is doing what he's doing with us, because you realize, you know, I told somebody one day, when your path becomes one of privilege and you do not remember the innocent you have left behind, your privilege will soon cease to be a blessing and become your greatest curse.
Ooh, come on, Wintley.
When your path becomes one of privilege, and you do not remember those you've left behind, the innocent you've left behind, your privilege will soon cease to be a blessing and become your greatest curse.
Hold that thought. Woo, good God Almighty. Folks, you're listening to my friend Wintley Phipps. That's Charles Dutton. We'll be right back, and Charles is going to have to leave, but I am just so grateful. Hold on, folks. One more second. You're listening to Willie Jolley, and the best is yet to come.
And you know the friend is there.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and for years I've told people that in order to have a greater life, it starts by having greater individual days. If you have a great day and you repeat that great day 7 times, you've had a great week. And you repeat that week 4 times, you've had a greater month. And then repeat that month 12 times, you've had a greater year, and you're on your way to a greater life. And it starts with that individual day. I recommend you start each day with something powerful. I call it the pure, the powerful, and the positive. Rather than starting your day with bad news, how many people got killed or how many children got snatched or how many fires there were, I recommend you start your day with something to inspire and empower and encourage you to make this day a great day. We're excited to announce the start of Jolley TV on my Facebook page. Go to Willie Jolley, Willie.Jolley on Facebook. Just go to Willie.Jolley on Facebook and get ready for a great day and a great life. Have a great day on purpose.
What a show we have today. Wintley Phipps, you just blessed my heart. I mean, you just blessed my heart. And Charles, are you still there?
Yes, sir, yeah. I'm getting ready to leave in a minute.
I know you got to jump off. But let me tell folks the pearls you dropped on everybody. See, I'm always learning. First, you said you got to discover who you are to be all you can be. Number 2, you said you must persevere. You have to have determination, discipline, and perseverance. And then you said don't go negative. And folks, if there's anything I want you to get from this is that you must not go negative. Did you hear that pearl he dropped on us? Because
Absolutely.
Look, when you go negative, you automatically lose because you don't continue to fight for your dreams. And he continued to fight. He kept calling and kept calling and kept calling, and they were wondering if he was serious. And if so you went from jail to Yale, and then went on to become a national situation comedy star on rock, as well as Broadway. Just bring people up to where Charles Dutton is now. Everybody, I know people stop you in the street and call you Rock.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, Rock is my real nickname. I was Rock long before I was Rock.
Okay, got it.
But so we couldn't think of anything else to name the show. So one of the producers said, Rock, why don't we just call it Rock so we can go home? Everybody can go home, you know? and so, you know, I looked at the character and said, yeah, well, he does look like a rock. So, and that's how, but interesting enough, all my friends of my generation in Baltimore, you know me, that's all I was ever called. Even my mom calls me that every now and then. I had the nickname since I was 8 or 9 years old. So, but it's the lovely thing about going to Yale and graduating in 1983, how the blessings continued, is that I didn't really have a long, struggling actor career. I graduated May of '83, and April of the following year of '84, I was starring on Broadway, and not just starring on Broadway, but starring on Broadway with my name above the title.
Wow!
And so, in my first Broadway play, so that's what I mean. The blessings were just bountiful. So, and then it was a career since '83 that has actually canvassed both. I mean, all elements of television, film, and stage. But I've been able to do it, William, my way.
Right.
In other words, I just didn't do anything.
Right.
I always felt in my work that I wanted to do the kind of work, and this is a big idealistic task, but I wanted to do the kind of work that advanced civilization. That people could watch. I mean, rock has been off the air since 1994, but I can't go anywhere without that identification because people were touched by the show.
It was my favorite show. I would. This is for TiVo, so I would tape it or look at it every single week.
We tried to send a lot of messages and use that format of half hour to do episodes that weren't necessarily. I think we were just so groundbreaking. The show was way before its time insofar as dealing with issues in the half hour genre and dealing with those issues seriously and dramatically. Although we were a comedic show, but simply because we had the kind of actors that could pull that off.
Right.
They were trained stage actors, so they could do comedy and then stop on a dime and become very serious and dramatic without it looking like it was a strange arch kind of thing. But then, and so, in my work from that point on, I've just tried to choose projects that I myself can be happy with if I watch them in reruns 10 years later and not be embarrassed by them.
Amen.
And so it's I don't really feel that I've ever been in charge of my career. I've always felt that it was guided, spiritually. It was guided divinely, and so I never got down in my career. I never got depressed about anything. I never had to become combative or bitter about it because I always felt, when I'm going to get what I'm supposed to get. It'll come when it's supposed to come, and there are times that there's been a period where I might not work for 4 or 5 months, and a matter of fact, I'm enjoying it. I can do what I want to do, and then the jobs will be plentiful, Then, but that's the acting business. It goes up and down. But I've always kept an even keel because I will only do certain things and not just anything. And I really believe that's the task of an artist, to do the kind of work that advances civilization. People will come into that theater on Monday and Tuesday night. People will come into the theater already thinking one way about life in the world, and and the way they think may be rigid and cemented. And if I do my job Monday and Tuesday night and leave an ounce of my internal essence on that stage floor, then that person will leave that theater brand new, infused and imbued with an entirely different sense and feeling about life in the world, because they would have been moved and experienced and gone through a journey, and they tell themselves, now, it may not happen immediately, it may not happen the next day, but when an artist does that to an audience, the residue of what they've done will stay in that person's spirit and soul, and that person will then use that to become a better human being. I really believe that. I think that's the transformational power of the arts.
You're absolutely right. And as a good friend of Wintley's, we've had conversation in his home when I go to visit him that speaks about our giftings and how God has blessed us to be able to gift us. Wintley, both of us are singers and both of us are speakers and have ministries, but yet Wintley has inspired so many people with that same transformational, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. God.
You know, let me say this last thing,
Yep.
Jolly, before I have to go off.
Uh-huh.
But it proves your point. When we did the show in Houston, Wintley came on. I'm in my dressing room. Wintley came on and spoke with the audience to tell them what the U.S. Dream Academy was about and why we're here, et cetera. And I'm in the dressing room, and I'm preparing, and then I'm sipping a cup of tea, and all of a sudden Wintley sang.
Woo!
And I sat there and I listened. And when he finished, I said, "I'm ready to do the show."
Amen. Amen.
I'm ready to do the show. I didn't need to go through any acting exercises. I didn't need to do any stretching. I said, I am ready to go out there and do battle.
Amen.
Because that's how moved I was with his voice and with the song and with the power of the moment. That it was like it was a beautiful conduit for me to step in behind what he just did and continue that energy.
Well, brother, I thank you for taking time. I know you got to jump, but I want to let you know you've been so kind. You went way over what you were scheduled for because you are trying to get all of this done, and you are traveling as well. Man, you are a gentleman and a scholar, and I'm honored and had to have you on the show. I want to let you know you've got an open invitation anytime to come and just share your story. And what we're going to do is I'm going to blow this up. I'm going to keep Wintley on for a while. We're going to blow it up, tell people where to get it. And we're going to find a time and a way that I can use my platform. And I'm grateful I got a pretty good platform now to help you share this message and Wintley share this message, as well as maybe find some ways we can get this message into some of these reform schools, some of the places where the kids really need to hear the power of transformation. God bless you.
And one other quick thing, so to entice folks to get to the show on Monday and Tuesday night, what I'm doing is adding a brand new element to the show this time. I'm actually going to use students from the Duke Ellington High School of Performing Arts.
Wow.
And a student from Howard University, and we're going to do a medley of scenes from Shakespeare.
Woo!
So you're going to have young kids doing Shakespeare where I tell you, these kids deliver that stuff with an expertise and a veteran professional aspect that will actually blow your mind.
Man.
So it's going to be a classy evening, the 28th and 29th.
Fantastic.
And thank you so much for having me. I'll see you next week, Whitney.
I'll see you next week. God bless you, man.
Charles.
All right.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Wintley Phipps.
Yes, sir.
You know I love you, man. You know I love you.
I love you too,
I love you and your wife and your boys and so Wintley, you know I love you, and I'm honored to have you as a friend. You've inspired my life. You've changed my life. You've transformed my thinking.
Well, thank you, man.
And you know I tell the story often how you took time with me when I was unknown, unfocused, and unclear at your house in Columbia, Maryland. You didn't know me from Joe, but you poured into me. So I appreciate you, man. Kiss Linda for me. Love you, man.
All right, you too, buddy.
Bye-bye. Woo, folks, what a show.
Hi, this is Dr. Willie Jolley, and people often ask, how did I go from a broke, busted nightclub singer to become a best-selling author and to be voted one of the outstanding 5 speakers in the world by the 175,000 members of Toastmasters International? The answer is that I decided to invest and change my thinking, invest in my mindset, and decided to change my inputs because inputs determine outputs. I heard about a seminar years ago when I was just getting started. I was making about $100 a speech. And I heard this seminar that was creating millionaires, and it cost $10,000, but the guy was getting results. I didn't have that kind of money, but I decided to borrow it because I learned that there's a price for success, the price of college, the price of going to school, the price of education. And there's a price for success, and then there's a cost for not paying the price, the cost of staying the same. And that cost is greater than the price. It's too expensive. And so I went, and it changed my life. And I came back and quickly made $100,000. I heard a similar story from Dr. Dave Martin, how he went to a success rally, heard a speaker who inspired him. He and his friend said, wow, that's changed my life. The speaker had a package of materials to help build wealth. The package cost $1,500. And that was all the money Dr. Dave had to his name. Dr. Dave's friend asked, do you think this stuff is worth it? Dr. Dave thought for a moment. He said, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. But I do know that I'm worth it. I'm worth it. He invested that money in that package and used the materials to grow his thinking. He grew his mindset. He shared how that $1,500 investment has gone on to generate millions in revenues. He's a multimillionaire. And he has homes now in Arizona and Florida. I want to say to you, it's time to invest in you. I want to give you some materials that will help you, grow your mindset, grow your future, grow your finances. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire. wjspeaks.com/billionaire to get some materials that will inspire your success and help you find that there's a price for success, but there's a cost for not paying the price. And the cost is always greater than the price. Go to wjspeaks.com/billionaire and get the bag, the box, or any of the materials there and keep growing your wealth. And remember, as a man thinketh, so as he is, and your best is yet to come.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.